And welcome to PM Express tonight. Have you heard a story of how Ghana is in desperate need of money to avoid the economy collapsing? Have you heard that? I've heard a story about a setting e-levy that will give us just about 7 billion cedis. Well, I have a story for you tonight that will show you that indeed Ghana is very, very rich. And this is according to the fiscal recklessness rankings and the report that was issued today by policy think tank Imani. And we're going to be having a conversation about what it reviews. So the cost of financial recklessness, the 13 billion CD question is what we're going to look at. So what did Imani establish in his report? They found in the fiscal recklessness index and the report that was published today that between 2005 and 2020, if you put the irregularities that you find in the Auditor General's report together, you are talking about 13.9 billion cedis worth of irregularities alone. And this ranges from tax irregularities, tax that we are supposed to collect. We know those owing us, but we've just decided not to collect. Huge amounts of money involved. And then cash irregularities, some funds that are meant to go into government accounts, some of them are sitting in private accounts unaccounted for, etc., all coming together, and others indeed, paying ghost names, monies that you simply can account for. 13.9 billion in 5 years is what we are talking about. Some of them you can't simply account for. Some of them we just don't know where the money is. So it is a big deal for a country that is in the midst of an economic crisis to learn that we are having irregularities in a fiscal dispensation to that tune is jaw-dropping indeed. And now pay attention to this one too for me. That here, if you look at 2020, it is 3.64% of our GDP. That is big indeed. It could account for the entire sector of our economy. And we'll break it down for you what this means. So when we say 6.9 billion, what can it do? 3.64% of GDP. What is it? What is it comparable to? My guests will break down for me when we sit. And so we decided to take the report and help you visualize the problem, right? The last time Imani did this, they established, this was 2010, 2014, they established that the irregularities only amounted, I said only, is big, but in the context of what we are talking today, is only accounted for 1.42 billion cedis complete total irregularities between that period. Now look at the jump since the last time they did it to now. 871.4% jump. If your jaw is not dropping yet, then you're not appreciating what I'm talking about. 871.4% jump in irregularities. So the country is in dire need of money. We are taxing Ghanaians more, right? We want more, revenue, and yet we are possibly wasting 13.9 billion. And as the years go by, it's not getting better. It's getting worse, to the point where we are having 871% jump in the irregularities. That tells you, is this country a country that is worth even supporting when it comes to finances? Because we have a lot of this. And look, put this in the context of the SOE report and the billions that they were also losing. It tells you that what is really wrong with us, right? We'll break it down and ask that simple question of my guests. In fact, that's the first question I asked them on the subject in front of us. So what Imani did that I like was that they decided to rank the ministries, departments, and agencies in terms of which of them is the most fiscally reckless, financially reckless. And guess what? The finance ministry came up tops as the most financially reckless agency. But also pay attention to this. It's not, when we say finance ministry, it is not the ministry where Ken Oforiatta works necessarily. It is the agencies under the finance ministry, and that is very important. So the GRA, etc. And mainly, as you see on the screens there, we are talking about two main things, factors contributing to this. Tax irregularities, as you see here, are accounting for 99.63%. That is 9.10 billion. That's 9.1 billion cedis, tax irregularities. And then you also have cash irregularities, also giving you in excess of 2 billion. So that's combined. We're talking about a total of 11.45 billion, cedis in tax and cash irregularities. That is why the finance ministry and the agencies under it have been ranked Ghana's top most financially reckless, in terms of the rankings here. So that is pretty jaw-dropping indeed, and there's a reason why the finance ministry is. Now again, if you look at it, the key drivers of the MDA financial irregularities generally, again, you see the breakdown. Tax irregularities is 13, and you have the rest. This was due to the failure of the GRA to collect taxes due to the state and enforce compliance. And I make this point earlier. The GRA, if you read the report, they know the agencies that are owing us. And the Auditor General has made it easy for them to say, we know this agency owes us this month. We know that agency owes us this month. All we need to do is to go and get the money, and we don't. We sit and do nothing about it, and enforce it and get money for the states, but they don't. But as they say, they will choose e-levy because that one everybody has to pay. You can't really dodge because you have to send money to your loved ones when they need it. Again, some of the key drivers breaking in the cash irregularities, as we said. And what are these? Cash irregularities are largely driven by unapproved disbursement of funds. You have unapproved transfer of funds, delays in the lodgement of public funds that need to get into the appropriate account and simply go in there, and that is becoming an issue. And then you type of irregularities that we've also been identified: debt, loans, advances, contracts. Contracts is a big one. Contracts is a big deal. In there is corruption too. In there is corruption, right? So this also comes down to that too. Stores and procurement. Payroll fraud is in there too, right? 14.6 million. It's quite a huge, significant amount of money. You can do a lot in this country. And if you track what Imani tells us here, from 2018, for example, irregularities alone amounting to above 5 billion. That is really significant indeed. And then you look at the averagely, MMDA's fiscal and discipline costs about 2.3 billion annual between this particular period, if you're looking at the some of the key MMDAs. But I like this fact that we are separating the top 5 most fiscally reckless. Finance ministry is number 1. Health ministry is 2nd. Then you have the roads and highways ministry coming in 3rd, employment ministry and foreign affairs ministry. So these are the top 5 most financially reckless ministries we have in this country. Now, the top 5 best performing, you see them, the best is the chieftaincy ministry here. I mean, government machinery, they didn't have the data for it in many of the years, so maybe that's what I count. So I'm going to discount that. We'll come to the question of why that is. But they go to chieftaincy, information ministry, water resources, transport. They seem to be doing okay when it comes to that. In comparison, in the land of the blind, the one eye man is keen, remember, because it's not like there are no irregularities there. It's just that the irregularities pale in comparison to finance ministry, for example, in 11 billions, right? So there's some irregularities there. It's just that it's smaller compared to the others. You want to get to a point where you have zero irregularity, right? Or those who engage in it are actually punished for it. And then recommendations. Imani says, apply the disallowance and surcharge powers given to it. Just do it. You have it. Dumelevu did it. I wonder what the current Auditor General is doing. Track areas, must align with the entire public financial management cycle. Institutions must ensure officers responsible are punished without delay. Work with the OSP to take legal action against perpetrators.